His influence on motorsports is astounding. He owns the winningest team in Cup Series history. You may have bought a vehicle from one of his dealerships. I talked to the one and only Rick Hendrick.
Right now on the Delano Little Show.
Bahakel Sports presents the Delano Little Show.
Welcome to the Delano Little Show. I am honored and privileged to have with me one of my longtime friends. I hope I can say that.
Yes, absolutely.
Rick Hendrick, NASCAR owner, NASCAR champion, NASCAR Hall of Famer, and you so graciously allowed us to come into your home today. We're at the NASCAR Motorsports Complex here, the Hendrick Motorsports Complex in Concord, North Carolina. This place is absolutely gorgeous. You did a lot of work out here.
Well, it's amazing when you look at it today. It's about 600,000 square feet. And when I came out here to get started in 1984, I was leasing 5,000 feet from Harry Hyde. This road was gravel, and there were trailers, house trailers along this ridge. So it has really changed.
And Harry Hyde was to you, who was Harry Hyde to you?
Harry Hyde was a crew chief, and I met Harry. I was racing boats and storing them over here. Harry wasn't racing anymore. And so I got a call one day from Max Mulliman, and he said, how would you like to be partners with Kenny Rogers and C.K. Spurlock and have Richard Petty as a driver? I said, is this a trick question? And so, because Max was looking for sponsors for my boats. And we got together, and that's how All-Star Racing was formed. And we had 5 employees, and 2 of them were volunteer. Wow. And we started, I was renting the space, the tools, everything from Harry. And so, and we ended up winning a race, and the rest is history.
5 employees, so what would you estimate that you have
600.
now? 600. Wow, that is absolutely amazing. Yeah. And just to be in the, it almost feels like it's the hallowed halls here. I mean, you walk around and you see all the trophies and all the past drivers you've had, so many drivers, and it just feels good to be here. Yeah. Do you get caught up in it sometimes? Do you walk down, do you spend time here?
I do. I walk through the museum, and I have the first car we ever raced. And so I look at, we're at 295 wins. And when we tied Petty and then broke Petty's record, at 269 I have that car. So I have all the championship cars, 14 that won championships, Daytona winners. So there's a lot of history here. And when I walk through it, it you know, brings me back in time to Ricky's truck that he won in the inaugural race in Kansas.
Your son, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when you, I think one of the most important things about history and is being going back and reliving, you know, those days when you had Tim Richmond and driving at Riverside, or Jeff Bodine, or seeing Gordon when he had that little pencil mustache, you know, and thought he wasn't old enough to drive. And so, you know, history's great. And what we've tried to do here is capture that so the fans can come in and see the cars and see the trophies. And so it means a lot to me. It's something that it's very heartwarming, and I remember all the people that helped me get it here.
When we talk about other drivers, I mean, you've had numerous drivers over the years, and all pretty much famous, you know, in their own rights. Yeah. Some already in the Hall of Fame, just like you are. Are they kind of like do you kind of consider them to be kind of like your kids to a certain extent?
Yeah, definitely Jeff, Gordon, and Jimmy Johnson. And Terry Labonte was a great friend, the champion. And so then you come along, and I met Chase Elliott when he was 14 and did a deal with him to bring him up through the ranks, and then he's a champion. And William Byron, he's been like a son. And so watching them all grow up, and from the crew chiefs the same way. Yeah. And so you see them, I get as much enjoyment out of watching them succeed and go from go-karts to sprint cars to becoming a NASCAR champion. You know, if I've done it 14 times now. So to see a guy win it for the first time, it's unbelievable.
And you care about all the drivers. Yeah. You've seen them go through a lot of ups and downs. You've been through a lot of ups and downs as far as your career is concerned. But How do you deal with those ups and downs? Do you have a philosophy of how you kind of handle those kind of things, or do you just play it everything by ear?
Well, no, I think it's your faith, your family, and your friends that get you through things. When I lost my son, my brother, and my nieces in the plane crash going to Martinsville, and the president of this company and, my CFO, I mean, wiped out my family and the company, and I didn't know if I could ever come back and do it again. And I came over 2 weeks later, and all the folks were together, and we cried, and we had to, I had to protect them, and I wanted the dream that those folks on the plane had to go forward. So we kind of grabbed our hands and said, let's do this, and then we just kept it rolling. But it was tough, and you still have those memories. That's why there's fountains out here with all the names. And every time we win a race, we point to the heavens and turn our hats on backwards to, honor my son.
Yes.
And so it's, your strength comes from your people and your faith and family. And I'm blessed to have a lot of great people. When you walk around here, that people have been here for 25 years, 30 years, and I give a watch at 20 years, and every year it's 10 or 15 people that get watches. And so, I don't care what kind of business you're in, it's all about the people. And when you can build a character and a relationship with a team that wants to win together, and you're going to lose together, you're going to lose more than you win, but then when you have real struggles, deaths or something like that, that's when it really takes hold.
Okay, we're going to come back after the break. We're going to talk a little bit more about that, because I know this car right here behind us, the number 5 car, is very special to you.
Yes.
I want to have you talk about that. You're being in the Hall of Fame. I want to hear about all. I just want to talk to you. We have a lot in common. I got something that I discovered that you and I have in common. It's probably why we're such good friends. We'll be right back on the Delano Little Show. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Delano Little Show here with NASCAR owner Rick Hendrick. And we were talking before the break about family and how much that means to most of us as we go through life. This car behind me, the number 5 car, is special to you. You would mind talking about that?
Sure. Number 5 was my first number, and so for some reason we retired it. I think it was because Junior was 88, and we had, Elliott wanted 9, so some of the numbers we shuffled around. So when Larson came in, we went back to number 5, our first number. And it's so special to me because it's got my son's paint scheme on it. So I've got the first number in the paint scheme my son drove, and then we put Hendrick cars on it when we started, and that's been so good for the company. So it's worked out really well.
All right. Well, we were talking before we were on camera about the NASCAR Hall of Fame and how much it means to you. That's all the things that are in here. This is a museum in itself. I mean, you can just walk right through this one building. I mean, you got more. You got a bunch of cars that you've. You want to talk about that because you have the Corvettes, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've got a car collection, and I've got the largest Corvette collection in the world. And I never thought I'd own one, and so I started when I got in the business. I've been in the automobile business since 1976. And so my first Corvette, I dated my wife in. We've been married 50 years.
Right.
And when we had our big celebration, we had it at the party, and we drove away in it. And so
that's pretty smooth.
Yeah,
that was pretty smooth, wasn't it?
Well, it broke down the first night we dated. So, but now I've restored it, and it's pretty special. But I've got a lot of serial number 1s, and I've got Ferraris over the years. So I've got about 300 cars that I've collected over almost 50 years now.
Wow. Yeah.
And so a lot of gold wing Mercedes and things like that. You need to come see them.
I would love to. Do you get a chance to visit it much?
I was here yesterday. I got one that came in. I got to drive and put it up. So
Jay Leno has nothing on you, does it?
Jay Leno's been here a couple of times.
Oh, really? Get out of here. Okay.
Yeah.
Was he impressed with the car
was,
collection? I know
yeah.
he's got a big one too, the former Late night star, yes.
Yeah, I've been to his place. It's pretty neat.
Cool. Hall of Fame, what was it like when you got the call? I mean, because you obviously knew you were going to get the call, but does it still resonate with you?
You know, when you think you're going to get in because people tell you you are, and you get a call, and you say, okay, I'm in the Hall of Fame. But it doesn't really hit you until the night of the ceremony. And when you walk in and all the folks are there and you have your family, friends, and teammates, and it's actually happening, and you have Jeff and Jimmy on the stage, and my wife gives me the ring, then that is when it really hits home that you have finally a dream that you had. You know, my dream was always cars. I wanted to sell cars and race cars.
Right.
And I've been fortunate to do both. And to reach that pinnacle, I've now gone into the Hall of Fame with Corvettes in the automotive business and NASCAR. So
Right, yes.
I guess I'm just getting too old.
Well,
I need to retire, but I don't want to.
Well, that's one of the most interesting things is usually when you go into the Hall of Fame, your career is long gone.
Yeah.
You're still at it, and 295 wins,
Yeah,
the most by any team ever.
yeah.
And you got 5 to 300. I mean,
Yeah.
do you jinx yourself, or do you start thinking about how you're going to celebrate that 300th win?
You know, we start planning that in the head because there's a lot of things that you want to do when you get to 300. But I remember 200, and we got to 198, and we were stuck. And I mean, we had banners, we had hats, we had everything.
everything ready,
We had
right?
everything but the win.
Yeah.
So we're 5 away, and we've won 4 already this year. So we're getting prepared. But the big deal for me was tying and beating Richard Petty's record of 269.
Right.
And so I think we got a lot left to give, a lot left to do, and you know, so, but we celebrate all those milestones because they're super, you know, special.
Yes. And you've done so much on the track, but you've done a lot off the track as well. I remember when I came here, the first person I saw pretty much was you, because I was interviewing for a job back in television back in 1989, and the person that was going to hire me was a guy named Paul Cameron, a very famous sportscaster here in town. And he brought me in and he said, the first thing I want you to do is go shoot a Charlotte Knights game, so I know you can be a photographer. And then he said, the second thing, I got something set up, and he took me out to the racetrack, and we got in the car with you. He wanted me to meet you, and we got in the car in a Lexus, I believe, and drove around, and you drove us around. Remember that?
I remember that.
That was, I mean, that's pretty cool
Yeah.
for me to have had
Well,
that.
we should have had you in a race car.
Well, I don't know about all that. Now, so speaking of racing, you did some racing. We're going to come back and talk about that. You didn't do it very long, but we'll talk about that. And I do have something I do want to mention and why I think we're really good friends. Stay with us on the Delano Little Show. Welcome back to the Delano Little Show, here with Rick Hendrick, NASCAR owner, NASCAR champion, NASCAR Hall of Famer. We go back a long way. We talked about you were one of the first people I met when I got here to Charlotte back in 1989. But you've also done some other things. And I had a charity called One Nation Foundation at one point in my career, right before 9/11. And I came to you and asked for a donation for that charity, which was to bring people together. And you never hesitated to give me money for that. And you know, I've had I'm sure I thanked you, but I'd like to thank you again. We were able to give 22 young kids a scholarship to school with that money, and I appreciate that. But you do a lot of that, not only just for me, but you do a lot for charity, as does NASCAR, right?
Yeah. We have had golf tournaments for 30 years, and supported the hospital, and one of our big charities is feeding the needy families, and we support 27 food banks throughout the country. In every city I've got dealerships, we support the food bank. And then for Easter meals for the first quarter, we gave them $1.2 million, and that would feed enough meals to feed, when you look at the families, over 200,000 people.
Wow.
So we do that 4 times a year, and all our employees are involved. They donate, I match, and we go to the food banks, and we work with the food banks, and our drivers go to the food banks when we present the checks, and we pack food, and it's brought our company together, and it's been a real blessing to be able to help. And we've done the same thing with scholarships for young guys that want to be in the automobile business, and we did 350 scholarships for our employees' kids this year. So we've been a blessed company, and we believe in giving back into communities, and nothing I can think of is any more important than the hospitals and feeding the hungry. So
Right.
it's been such a privilege that we've been able to do it.
Right. Now you drove a little bit, but you got out of that. Was there any particular reason, or did?
I could hire somebody a lot better than I was.
I hear you. That's,
No, I love it. I've boat raced and won championships there, and I've drag raced, won there, and I piddled into the Cup Series, ran some races in the then called Busch Series, and out-qualified Darrell Waltrip and all my guys at Riverside.
You ever talked to him about that? See, you were telling me,
yeah.
I remember
He said, "How did we end the race?" I said, "You beat me." But no, it was fun. I did it for the fun, and I still like to run fast boats on the water, and I drive over the drag strip some. But you realize that you can find talent that are a lot better than you are. So
Right.
I think I'm probably better at trying to manage the company, the team, than I am driving, but I still love to do it.
If you had a young kid that came up to you and said, "I want to be you one day," what would you reply to him? How to get to that point?
Well, it's like they need to start young, and it's like any college sport or any, kids playing soccer, kids playing lacrosse, football. They all want to be in the NFL, right? But there's a certain group that gets to go to college. Then it's a very small percentage, 2% or whatever, that get to go play in the NFL. Well, if you think about all the tracks around the country, thousands and thousands of tracks, there are only 40 guys that can compete in this series.
Right.
And so a lot of competition, a lot of youth coming in. And so I think my message is always start in go-karts or some kind of little open wheel cars, move into stock body cars, and then work your way up.
Yeah.
But I never go to a race there's not a father and kids who walk up and hand me their card and say, "He's going to drive for you one day." Yeah. And that's what happened with William Byron at 14. He said, "I'm going to drive for you one day."
Wow, how about
and
that?
I didn't know that was going to ever happen. But
Yeah.
no, it's just like any professional sport. There's a pathway, but not many people get to make it to the top.
Yeah. You and I have a tie-in, and I Googled you, and I basically came up that your birthday is July 12th.
That's right.
I'm July 16th. We're both cancers. That's
yeah,
probably why we're
yeah,
such
yeah.
good, warm, loving people.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. I mean, do you believe in that kind of stuff, the horoscope?
do. I
Okay.
do. Yes, sir.
So we're both cancers.
That's right. Well, good.
That's why we're such good friends.
Well.
So we're going to come back and we'll talk about your connection to Bahakel Sports.
Okay.
And we'll wrap it up on the
Okay.
Delano Little Show right after this. Welcome back to the Delano Little Show, here with Rick Hendrick, NASCAR owner, and but you've been involved in the community for a long time with a lot of different sports. You're a sports fan.
Right.
You're looking to try to bring the Charlotte Hornets here to town, and you did it with Cy Bahakel, who was kind of part of that, and we're here with BahakelSports.com, so he was the forefather of all this, and you were friends with him.
Cy he was the anchor that helped get this thing at the NBA to Charlotte. He was a good friend. I met him when I first got to Charlotte before the Hornets, and he was always just super nice and kind to me. We'd be at events. So yeah, we went to Phoenix, I guess it was, to try to get the franchise, and some guys from another city, I think it was Minnesota or somewhere, said, "The only franchise you guys are going to get are the arches of a McDonald's in Charlotte," and that pissed us off.
Yeah, right.
So no, he was a good friend. Got the Hornets here. I mean, what a lift it gave the city. Go to those all the games were sold out.
Yes.
You know, everybody was a fan.
It's a cool time. It really
Hornet
was.
merchandise was all over the place, and it was a fun time.
Got to get them winning again. Got to
That's
get them winning
right.
into that
That's
level
right.
again. So, what would you say? People tried to kill NASCAR for years. NASCAR's never going to make it. Obviously wrong. Where do you see the future of NASCAR?
Well, I think the future's really bright. We're doing a lot of different things. We're going to race in the streets of Chicago, which I never thought we'd have a street race. And the venues this year are selling out, Phoenix, Daytona. And, you know, so a lot of growth, the new car, a lot of new fans, a lot of young fans, which we're really glad to see. And, you know, it's evolving. I think we'll probably run some type of electric component, probably a hybrid, in the next couple of years. So, you know, it's got a tremendous fan base and it's growing. So a lot of good things are happening in the sport, and so I'm looking forward to a bright future.
Mr. H, thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
your
buddy.
time.
Always
I
good to see
appreciate
you.
that, you as well. And Rick Hendrick on the Delano Little Show. Hope to see you again soon. Take care.